Welcome back to episode 50 of Dice to Pixels. We are going to be talking about the Xbox Showcase and a couple of other Xbox related things, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. Let's get into it. The fuck was that? All right. Chad, you want to kick us off with the Xbox?
Yeah, you know what? I'm right happy to say that I'm so glad we've reached 50 and now this damn show is older than me.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah, 50 episodes. Right off the bat, thank you for anybody that's been watching us from the get-go. We really do appreciate all your support, your viewership, your comments, your likes, all that fun stuff.
And actually, I'm going to go one step further. Thank you, obviously, as you say, to everybody who's watched us all along. Fuck anyone who isn't currently watching us. All of those 7, 8, 9 billion people, they can all go to hell.
Shame on you.
Most of planet Earth.
Yeah. 99.9999999% of the planet. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's been good. It's 50 episodes. We haven't missed a week.
Nope. And we're coming up on the 1 year mark. And actually we were just discussing we're gonna try, pending some shipping and stuff, we're gonna try to do something a little bit special for 52. If you are familiar with Hot Ones, the hot sauces for the season 20 hot sauces are on their way, and they should be here. Actually, they should be here like Tuesday, but they've got a couple of weeks, and then assuming that works on episode 52, towards the end of the podcast, we'll
Suffer.
Chad and I don't think Sarah's going to join us past maybe like the first few.
Yeah, I'll try a few of them.
Yeah.
And then I'll just laugh at you guys for the rest of the night.
Well, you're going to be asking us questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you'll because you're going to suffer the least. You can ask us random questions.
Okay.
At whatever you want to ask. We won't know what they are ahead of time.
Okay.
I hadn't told you that part yet. But
I like that.
You come up with the questions. And by the way, if you have question suggestions, feel free to drop them in the comments, join us on Discord, whatever. And then Sarah can pick whatever she wants to ask.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I interrupted you a lot.
No, that's fine. No, I just wanted, like I said, I just wanted to thank everybody for riding this wonderful train.
Okay, let's talk about games now.
Yeah, Xbox Live. Xbox. So they had their game showcase on Sunday as well as Starfield Direct. They touched on a lot of things. The one general trend that I really enjoyed about the Xbox showcase is damn near 75% of the games they announced are all going to be on Game Pass day one.
I know.
And that includes Starfield.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shocker.
Well, I think yes and no for me, but because that's going to be an Xbox killer app that they want those Game Pass subscriptions, they want those sales. And I think by offering that to Game Pass, like,
it's not that Microsoft wanted it for Game Pass. That, I mean, sure. It's more that like everyone involved, Bethesda and otherwise, was willing to like forego what I would assume is a lot of revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's hard to say. I don't know what the structure for Game Pass stuff works out to be.
I feel like maybe at the beginning they probably were working on like a little bit of a deficit, but the amount of people that I wonder, I gotta look it up at some point, is what the trend is for people subscribing to.
I can probably, we'll look that up. Mm-hmm. Well, you can look that up while Chad and I are inevitably ranting about something in a few minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just the sheer number of people I can imagine. I mean, if they're as awesome as we obviously are, and subscribe to it because of our recommendations.
If they have anywhere near as many subscribers as we do, they're rolling in it.
Well, no, but basically, like if there's enough people, they can offer enough money to people that maybe it makes more financial sense for the developers.
Yeah. And for the most part, I know a lot of games like this of this style that have been on Game Pass. It's always the base game that's available. A lot of the season pass and extra cosmetic stuff and all that shit, that's usually you can pay separate. Example, an example is Grid Legends, right?
Yeah,
we were playing that off of Game Pass. I was really enjoying that game. So I decided, okay, well, I'm gonna buy the seasonal pass content, which I can't remember. I got it on sale. I think it was like $20 or something.
20 is pretty typical. Yep.
So like I have that. I don't own the game, but I have that. So it just adds to it all. And I'm sure Starfield's going to be kind of the same thing, but this is going to be good just because of Bethesda's track record with launch titles of this caliber, like this AAA caliber. You look at a lot of the Elder Scrolls and even Fallout 3 and 4, like there's always been some bugs and issues like day one, even after a patch. So if it kind of, if it deters people away, you know, like people will probably be less likely to pre-order it if they know it's coming to Game Pass day one. So
one would assume.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. So, and then if it's hot and people dig it, then sure, I mean, buy it. Why not?
Yeah. Well, so what I like about the Starfield is I just double checked because I hadn't actually checked this until literally 2 seconds ago. It is coming for both PC and Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
Which is great because I was very grumpy when they said that it was going to be locked to 30 FPS. I was like, that doesn't thrill me. I'm not an FPS junkie. Like, I'm not a frame rate junkie. But 30's kind of low for a massive game like that. But if it's coming to PC, I'm assuming my gaming PC will do better than 30 FPS. So that's good. I'll obviously try it on the Xbox as well, but I wanted to try it on PC, and it looks like that will be totally doable.
So I do have a couple answers to my my question. A news article from February of this year reported that in 2022, Microsoft claimed over 25 million people were subscribed to Game Pass.
Damn.
And I'm not sure. From October 2022, there was an article that said 18% of Microsoft's total yearly Xbox income comes from Game Pass.
Yeah. Well, so I had mentioned a few weeks ago, because people were talking about how Sony was kicking Microsoft's ass on console sales, I think it was.
Oh, we talked about that, yeah.
The PS4, well, there was we talked about it because there was a bunch of articles. And like the PS5 was ramping up and they were outselling Xbox. And I said, I don't think that fucking matters because I think that Microsoft is going to make bank on Game Pass and online stuff and ostensibly cloud gaming maybe at some point. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all that it's 18 plus.
No, and then I also was wondering about what devs get for Game Pass, and apparently around 3,000 games. I don't know when. From March of last year, apparently 2.5 billion in payments to developers went out for Game Pass. So it works out with 3,000 games around that time to about $830,000 per game.
Yeah, and that's definitely not equally distributed.
No, definitely not.
Cat Quest does not get as much as anybody else.
Yeah. And then because it's available, people will buy the DLC for it too, so they're earning money that way as well.
Yeah, well, and some people will, like, depending on whether they leave it on Game Pass forever, some people will buy the game when it's off Game Pass as well.
Yep.
Yeah, because you usually get the Game Pass deal when it's leaving. They'll give you like 20% off, I think, to purchase the game.
Right. Which sorry, I'm going to interrupt real quick. Yep. Public service announcement, because I saw another one. I didn't buy it, but I saw another one the other day.
Just for you?
Just for you.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, if you have an Xbox, check the store periodically, because some of those just for you deals are steep discounts.
Yeah, they're very rare, but they're easy to spot because it's like literally a red bar right underneath the game, and it literally says "just for you,"
and it's like
80% off. Yeah,
it's huge.
Nuts.
Yeah, because you got one recently.
The one I had for me was it was around the Diablo 4 beta, and the Diablo 2 remaster was on sale, like the big fucking full ultimate version for like $18.
Yeah.
Like I already had it, I already owned it, so I was like, "Oh, thanks." Where the fuck was this like months ago?
Yeah, but no, those like when they come up, those are deep discounts. Big so just a reminder to anyone who doesn't open the store very often, check it every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's good. We had talked about Starfield coming to Game Pass, so that's great that it is. It wasn't the only one though. I mean,
no. Well, I'll tell you right now, one that I'm actually legitimately excited for. That's probably a little bit out of left field for some people. Flight Simulator 2024 is coming to Game Pass.
The trailer actually looked really kind of interesting.
So Flight Simulator is great.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played any of the recent ones, but even back in the day, Flight Simulator was great. And everyone agrees that Flight Simulator is amazing. Like, there are literally people who are like, yeah, I learned to fly on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Obviously, I took my pilot's lessons, but it was almost like pro forma by the time I got to it, because it was like, I already know how to do this. Like, there's muscle memory and everything else, but like, I knew what everything did, and I actually knew how to fly before I ever sat in the cockpit.
It was like the actual mechanics of things that were different.
I'm not going to go anywhere near that deep, but I wanted to try the previous Flight Simulator, which I want to say was not 23. I want to say it was like 22 or something.
I think it was 22. It's still on Game Pass, I believe.
I don't think they... No, I don't think
it.
it was on Game Pass, the one that I wanted to check out.
Oh, okay.
Because that's why I didn't. Now, maybe I missed it. But anyways, the fact that the new one's coming makes me very happy. It's also interesting that it's coming out on Xbox. I didn't know that Flight Sims came out on Xbox because, I mean...
Oh, it's a Microsoft product, is it not?
Oh, yeah, it is. I just, like, the control scheme. Like, most people who play Flight Sim, like, get really into it, and they have, like, joysticks and throttle controls and everything. I don't think you're getting that with an Xbox. So...
Well, maybe they make it available on consoles to suck people in, and then they move to PC.
Probably, and then buy the Microsoft thrust controls and whatever. I don't know.
But some of those things looked kind of interesting, like the firefighting and the ambulance helicopters. I'm sure the flight in itself is really interesting, but I don't know. I think because I like Power Wash Simulator and those types of games, putting out forest fires is probably in my wheelhouse for gaming.
Yeah. Anyways, I will be checking it out. I may or may not buy any of the sort of accoutrement. I have a joystick, which I will definitely use. I may or may not buy or make a throttle control or something. But I was happy to see it on the list.
Hell yeah.
Can I just say that we need to come up with a different term for joystick? Because I just think of wieners now.
Everyone thinks of wieners. That was the point. That's why they named it joystick.
Don't you judge me.
Hang on. Now I want to know why they called it joystick.
Because it brings you joy because you're playing games, probably.
Maybe. You talked amongst yourself.
Game handle.
You at home talk amongst yourself. I'm looking this up.
So a game I know I'm excited for is Fable.
Yeah. They didn't really show much, but we had a cinematic of the new Fable game. But yeah, you've been talking up about even going back and playing some.
Because I have them on Steam, so
they're
I
on
can
Game
play.
Pass too. So.
Oh, nice! I didn't realize that, but yeah, no, I love that series of games, and apparently they've been getting kind of shit on a little bit for the main character that they used in the trailer because she's ugly. I mean, the same thing happened with the Horizon Forbidden West. People didn't like the way that Aloy looked. They thought she looked ugly. Like, who gives a shit?
No, she looked fine. It was just her personality that sucked.
So, realizing for the moment that I'm talking about video games here, and so there's an element of people already having too much time in order to play. People have too much fucking time on their hands if they're complaining about stuff like that.
Right?
Like, come on.
It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit?
Who cares?
Yeah,
it looked kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks like it has all the charm of the original games. I enjoyed the fact that they had a clip in there of the character kicking a chicken, because who doesn't go into that game and kick a chicken?
It's one though where, because I wasn't shown any gameplay, I'm going to.
It's still early in development, though.
It's been early in development for a few fucking years.
Well, yeah.
Here's my problem as a bit of a developer myself.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Holy.
You know computers?
I know several. This one is named Bob. That was a terrible joke.
Yes.
I got his twin named Jim.
Is it Jim Bob or Bob Jim?
Jim Bob, and that's Bob Jim.
Anytime I see a company who's like, we're going to show you like fully rendered like cinema graphics.
Mm-hmm.
Cinema graphics?
Sure.
Cinematics. That's better. Instead of gameplay, because like it's early days. I'm like, you are putting your fucking resources in the wrong spot.
Agreed.
Like,
yeah,
and that doesn't mean that it won't be good but like if you're more worried about creating cinematics for people to see instead of working on the goddamn game, you have somebody in your organization should not be in your organization.
Yeah, especially
they have the wrong priority.
Yeah, especially if they're not actually going to be in the game at all.
Whether they are or not, but I agree, especially if they're not going to be in
because
the game.
If it's going to be in the game, like if it's just part of like the opening, because like remember when Wrath of the Lich King came out, and probably everyone, that's the one that sticks out in my mind because obviously it's my favorite. That opening scene is what they used to announce it too.
Yeah.
So
well, okay. So in fairness, WoW modules were a bit different because they weren't like, it was still the same base game.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, we don't really need to show you gameplay because you know what it is. That's a little different, but yeah, fair point.
Mm-hmm.
But like a game that's like, hey, we're making a new game and we're gonna show you a cutscene instead of the gameplay. It's like you need to rethink what you're working on.
Yeah.
You need to go back and fire the person who decided to do that and then proceed with the game properly. Because very few people are going to respond to Chad's point. Very few people are going to see a cinematic and be like, yeah, I want to play that game. They're going to be like, oh, that looks really cool. Show me the game when you're ready.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
yeah.
Like Bethesda did it right with the Starfield stuff where it's like, yeah, all of this is in-game footage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it also
Good.
looks cinematic.
Yeah.
And we limited it 30 frames per second.
Well, there was another one that was showed, I believe, at the Game Awards called Avowed by Obsidian, and they showed some gameplay footage of this game. This is basically another like Obsidian version of like a Skyrim or an Elder Scrolls game or whatever, but it's set in the world of Pillars of Eternity. But again, this is literally another Elder Scrolls style game, RPG, first person RPG. Looks really good. I'll be interested. Another day one Game Pass in I believe they said 2024. So it looks really good. I know you had some stuff that you weren't.
Yeah. I started to say something before we started filming and then stopped myself. It's not about that game specifically.
No.
It's there's too fucking many like open worlds. There's
it's not open
sandboxes.
world.
Or, well, whatever. There's too many like sort of epic games coming out, and I know I sound like such a prat saying that because it's like, oh, I'm spoiled with choice. That's so. It's so hard to decide what you actually want to. It's good that it's coming out to Game Pass because then you don't really have to decide. Fantastic.
Yep.
But I have this problem with board games, even more so than video games, where it's just like. There's like 20 amazing games coming out this year that I realistically probably only have time to legitimately play 10 of them at most. Now I've got to fucking decide which of these potentially like earth-shatteringly cool games I'm actually going to invest in.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger problem with board games than video games, but it's similar where with video games, if it weren't for Game Pass, it'd be the same thing. It's like, well, am I going to pay $100 Canadian for this epic game,
Diablo 4,
which by the way I bought a second copy of. We'll talk about that briefly later. But am I going to spend $100 on Diablo 4, or am I going to spend it on Starfield, or am I going to buy both? In which case, I probably am not playing any other open world like epic games for the year. Basically, it's too much, man. It's too goddamn much.
It's heavy on the wallet.
Well, it's heavy on the wallet and it's heavy on the time. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even I, who at this point am actually spending quite a bit of my time gaming, it's still a lot.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, and even I know we talked about this before, just that style, that open world sandbox, fucking stealthy crafting, kind of shit. And I know I had said I looked at a game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and just how much of a slog that was to get through. And like after 130 or 150 hours, like that was like just the base game. That's not any of the DLCs. That was just the base game.
Yeah.
You said this is an open world?
Apparently not. I saw something the other day that they confirmed that it was not open world.
Okay, well if that's the case, then good. Like if you're giving it like
well, maybe good.
Maybe good. So that's true. If you're giving it like mission structures and like levels, like old school games, I look at something like, I don't know, Devil May Cry, how you always had Act 1, Act 2, but it was like self-contained levels.
Yeah.
If it's something like that, great. Then, Game Pass, I won't buy it. But if it's something that I'm replaying over and over again, I might.
Sure.
You know,
Sure. Yeah.
I have no trouble spending. It's my same argument that I have with music. I have no problem spending money, and I will always spend money on bands that I really enjoy. I like. Yep. They will always get my money for the work that they've put into their albums.
Yeah.
It's the same will be said about video games. I will gladly pay money for a video game that is great, that I thoroughly enjoy. I've bought The Messenger on fucking everything. On every conceivable system that is available right now, I own The Messenger because it is a great game.
Yeah. But discovery is the hard part.
Yes.
It really bites your ass when it's like, we want $50 for you to discover whether or not this game is going to be any good. Yeah. Which is something that I want to talk about with the Stalker Kickstarter, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Well, and to further that, Final Fantasy 16 comes out next week.
Yeah.
There's a demo that you can play on PS5 right now.
Yeah, demos, man.
And I have downloaded it. I'm going to play it this weekend because it's one that I'm interested in, but because it deviates so much from the typical Final Fantasy formula, I'm a little kind of...
Maybe I'll grab it. Well, I'll grab the demo for sure. I haven't played a Final Fantasy. I mean, I've said this on the podcast before. The last Final Fantasy I played was basically 7.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll try it out. I don't have any expectations going into it. So.
Yeah. And then
you or me?
Oh,
and
then
I actually took my phone off of silence.
Unprofessional.
Yeah.
The other one that caught our eye, because Sarah and I watched it together, was a Clockwork Revolution. This one basically screamed BioShock Infinite.
Yeah, Sarah, you were saying it was getting a little bit of crap for being too much like BioShock Infinite.
Because I guess even just in the trailer in itself, a lot of the way that it was recorded or filmed or whatever looked a lot like BioShock Infinite trailers. But like, I think there's a quote from the article that I read that is exactly how I feel about it here. I'll read it out. It's from Harvey Randall. I'm always wary of when any game gets accused of copying any other game. While developers do heavily borrow from each other, it's not an inherently bad thing. I'd argue that iteration is the nuts, bolts, and beating heart of a medium like games. Art is meant to be shared, built upon, changed, and tweaked, which is like, yeah.
Well, what was my response when you said that? I was like, yeah, if they think that's bad for video games, they should try coming to the board game world.
Just like any source of any type of media ever. Like,
yeah, it's like define how it's like BioShock. Like, does it follow the exact same story? No. Then what do I care?
I think more it's the setting, like just the setting of the game and what.
Sure.
Yeah, I know, but like when you watch the trailer, because even we were just like, oh, is this a BioShock Infinite thing? Like that was our first initial reaction was like, is this another BioShock Infinite? And then it kept going and going and going. And it just looks very similar to Infinite. It's its own game, obviously, but a lot of this cloning comparison bullshit, I look at that and I'm like, okay, well, when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, how many other game developers came out with something that was similar to Grand Theft Auto 3? You know,
I mean, look at
like
Saints Row.
Saints Row basically is a Grand Theft Auto clone, and they've established their own brand and identity that kind of separates themselves from that, right? True Crime Streets of LA was another one that came out that was basically a Grand Theft Auto clone that somewhat created its own identity and separated from that. But then like the open world sandbox thing, it's everywhere now. So I mean, in theory, a lot of games that do this are all GTA clones, more or less.
And I think the comparison happens because I'm sure there's probably a few indie games that have a steampunk theme to them, but there's no like big high scale games other than BioShock really that like are based in a steampunk type world. So of course it's going to get that comparison. Like everything's going to get that comparison that's steampunk at this point to BioShock.
Yeah. So I'm just watching the trailer right now, clicking through it and taking a look because I was curious. First of all, this doesn't look like BioShock at all to me. I'm just going to go out and say this looks like a generic steampunk shooter.
Yeah.
I don't see any of the mutants or genetic abnormalities that BioShock is famous for. Yes, it's steampunk, but anyone who thinks that steampunk means BioShock is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Because steampunk existed a long time before BioShock did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't, like, I agree. Like, if I just saw that trailer, I might be like, oh, yeah, okay, maybe it's another BioShock. Like, to your point about seeing it and being like, oh, is there a new one? Sure, I can see that. But,
initially.
Yeah, right.
Initially, because it's clearly shown like in this, because BioShock had a very like their characters, they all had that little bit of like that cartoony kind of look to it, right? Whereas the characters and the people in this have like a real world like look.
Yeah.
So instantly, like right away, okay, well, this isn't a BioShock Infinite clone. So
yeah, well, and like it's one thing to like see the trailer and be like, oh, this kind of looks like it could be a BioShock game, versus like taking to the internet and being like, it's too similar. It's like, no, it's not. Like unless they're hiding a lot, based on that trailer, it doesn't look fucking anything like BioShock. It just looks like a steampunk, like retro future steampunk shooter, which I mean, it's not like BioShock has a fucking monopoly on that.
Exactly. And like, yes, there's some time travel fucking elements in this that was like BioShock Infinite had that as well. But I mean, like, it's, you know what? It's, again, another one that's going to be on Game Pass day one. So I am going to 100% play this. In Exile's done some good work in the past. So,
I mean, it looks cool.
Yep.
Like, I'll probably check it out if I have time to slot it in between other games that I'm excited about. But like in terms of actually like getting angry about it being the same as BioShock, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Don't be an idiot.
I mean, I doubt there's very many people that are actually angry. It's just media.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, I bet the company's not really trying to put those to bed either, because that's just free press.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially for people that liked BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, here's another thing. I will take this dessert. Thank you.
It's making a big deal out of nothing.
Yeah, which, I mean, people have too much goddamn time on their hands.
Very much so. Very much so. And then just the last thing that I want to talk about is they announced the 1 terabyte Xbox Series S and it's going to be all black. So people were, I guess, up in arms about the hard drive size of the S. And yes, it is small, but there is that little expansion thing that you can get that plugs in there. I know my brother has one for his. But yeah, they're doing the 1 terabyte Xbox Series S, and that's going to be coming, I believe, in the
September
fall.
1st.
Yeah, September.
So 2 things about that. First of all, I'm actually not sure. So I have the S, it's sitting right over there. I'm not sure if it does 120. This says that it'll do 120 FPS, obviously at 1080, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But that actually might be new. That might be an improvement. The 1 terabyte SSD is fine. Anyone who was complaining about the size of the SSD on the Xbox S needs to get better internet. Obviously, lots of people can't. I'm being a privileged asshole when I say that, but Microsoft's download servers are fast. Like, I've never had a problem with, even when we were live streaming, when we were downloading games, unless they were big uns, like it was taking minutes.
And even playing cloud, like doing the cloud gaming stuff.
The cloud gaming was working really well. Yeah,
fast as hell.
By the way, I've said this before. My experience remains exactly the same. I have tried every platform I can think of, cloud gaming over Wi-Fi, and it all sucks. As soon as you hardwire it, it works great.
Yep.
So.
Yep. That's why all of my systems at home are hardwired.
Well, all of mine except the Steam Deck. Because I mean,
you can hardwire that.
If you get the dock. It kind of defeats the point.
It's no longer a Steam Deck. It's a
Steam
box.
machine. Yeah,
Steam box.
yeah. So we're at about a half hour.
Yeah. I think that's it about.
We won't
Xbox
go on about
game.
Xbox anymore. I was just thinking, should we talk a little bit about Kickstarter stuff?
Yeah.
So
we should talk about that cool thing though. That Chad. Yeah.
Wait, which one?
The game screen thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The Ultimate Game Master screen.
Yeah. Let's talk about that one first.
Okay. I was like, is there another thing I wasn't aware of?
The cool thing.
So, Realm Smith and Forged, I actually know the CEOs of both of these companies. Not super well, but I do know both.
Yeah, we met Jason.
Little flex. Yeah, Jason's awesome. I like Jason. And Drew is also a good dude.
Yep.
They have paired up to do the Ultimate Game Master screen, which we will include a link below. I need to stop drifting that way.
It's because you're on wheels, damn it.
It looks good. It looks it's a cheap-ish. It's inexpensive.
Yes.
Game Master screen, unlike most of the offerings that have come to Kickstarter.
Looking at you, Wormwood.
Yeah, it was what, $79 US for the 4-panel base.
Yeah,
basically,
I
think
have
it
it
was
pulled up here. Let me.
So it's basically, it looks like a fairly cheap-ish faux leathery outer with metal plates stitched in the middle of it. That's what it looks like. And so it's magnetic to a degree. Like, you put magnets on it. It itself is not magnetic, but you put magnets on it and you can like stick stuff to it, and it folds up really nicely and thin, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot of you have probably already seen it. But I was happy to see a Kickstarter being used for what Kickstarter is supposed to be fucking used for, which is like branching out into a new product stream, legitimately building out pre-order base so that they can ramp up production. And also it looks like a pretty decent project. I don't think I'm going to get it because I don't travel with DM screens very much. And that seems to be mostly what it's geared towards, is like quick travel.
Yeah. Well, even like being able to, even if you're not traveling, it's easier storage too, if you don't have a large space.
True. Yeah.
But you also don't really use a screen at all.
And I have lots of storage as well. Yeah, I'm in a bit of a different situation for DMing stuff. Yeah, it looks good. I would get one if it weren't for the fact that I really don't use DM screens.
Yeah. And if I was DMing currently, I would, or anytime in the future, really, or had any need for it, I would 100. Like, I was tempted and like, I'm not doing any gaming in that realm
if
right
they
now.
hadn't hit their goal, I would have backed it. But since their goal was like 10,000 US and they're at like 590,000 US,
I mean,
they funded like 80,000% or something stupid.
And I mean, like good for them. Like that's because that's freaking amazing. And obviously, people look at, and it's a really cool product.
It looks solid.
Yeah, like the ultimate bundle, which gets you everything that they talk about, is $172 American, which is roughly $228 Canadian.
Roughly.
So that's everything. Yeah. Not including the shipping. They have 4 colors that you can choose from. It looks like a black, a tan, a red, and a blue. But it looks really good. I would probably want this over the Wormwood stuff, just because it's like when looking at cars. Okay, this is going to sound like a really weird comparison, but I would rather drive in like a nice, affordable, kind of cheap looking car rather than like a super expensive fucking, you know what I mean?
That you're always worried that something's going to happen to it.
And it's you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Wormwood screens are like, to be clear, I have not bought the Wormwood screen specifically because they're charging way the fuck too much money for it.
Yeah.
And even if it's nice. Wow, yeah, that's what always stopped me with the Wormwood screen was, it's like, it's too expensive. I can make one for that. I can buy the tooling to make one. I can buy a CNC, for fuck's sake, for the cost of one of those screens. Whereas this, it's like it's probably $100 with shipping and stuff to Canada. Yep. I would bet that's in the neighborhood.
Yep,
that's decent. I don't love the fabric that they're using on it, or the fake leather thing that they're using on it. But at the same time, you're not going to get real leather for that price.
No.
I like knowing how much steel sheets and everything cost. The price is good. I bet they're not making much on the individual screens. But more than anything, like it's cool. I like it. I think it's a good product. But more than anything, I was just happy to see somebody using Kickstarter the way Kickstarter. Well, it's actually on Indiegogo, is it? But
no, it's on Kickstarter.
Oh, it's on Kickstarter. Yeah, it's Stalker that's on. It's the one that I'm gonna juxtapose this with. That's on Indiegogo. I was really happy to see somebody using Kickstarter to launch a novel like a new part of their business.
Yes,
this is a joint project. It's the first thing they've produced as a joint company. It's something that neither of them have built before. And they are getting the funding they need to get it off the ground. That's what Kickstarter was made for. By contrast, Stalker, which is a game that I'm interested in. I haven't backed it yet. I'm fighting with myself about backing it because this goes back to what I was saying earlier in part, in that it's another $200+ game. It's the big box with all the minis and everything else, and it looks really cool, and I'm very interested in it. But we just opened Madara.
Oh.
And like that's going to be a year, well, probably not quite, but it's going to be a long time of play through Madara. And then I'm like, well, so do I go with Stalker or do I go with any of the other 7 that I've seen that are all like massive games? Or do I get my hands on a copy of Frosthaven, which I haven't played yet? Or do I get like, God damn, all these freaking like $200 games? I wish that they would start releasing like just a taste of it. Just like here's the like get your foot wet with our system for $50. And we'll ship it to you not sometime in the latter half of next year, but we'll ship it to you like September.
Yeah, kind of like the so something similar to like what we did the first the first kind of cycle.
We did the first part of the first encounter.
Yeah, so it was characters.
This is Madara, by the way.
Yeah, for Madara, yeah. So characters, we equipped our characters. We did the first combat.
Yeah.
And we ended there. So we haven't really actually done the first, because we haven't done the leveling up and the stuff like that.
No.
So but something like that is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like any of these games that are just like the big epics, where and yeah, like package that up. Give me that. Charge me $50. I know it's more than it should cost, probably. Don't include the resin minis and everything else. Just give me standees.
Yeah.
Use that money to fund the full project. Give me a discount code for the final copy, and let me try your system. Because then, if I like it, I can buy the expensive version. And I can sample multiple systems. I don't know if it's in the company's best interest to do that or not. I have no idea. I'm saying as a gamer, I would love it if I could try 5 or 6 new bigger systems a year instead of like locking myself into one without knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
Like Madara was an impulse buy because I had store credit at the place that we bought it. Otherwise, it's a $200 purchase. I probably would have never bought it because I was like,
well, we almost bought it in Philadelphia.
We almost bought it at the convention.
Yeah.
Conventions are kind of a weird thing where I'll overspend at conventions, which is oddly enough what they count on. But it just too many. There are too many giant games every year. You can't keep up with them. You can't try them all. Maybe some people can. I sure as hell can't.
Richter can.
Richter gets them all. I'm not convinced he actually tries them all.
He's just waiting for us to invite him over so we can try them.
Yeah, we actually got to kick Richter out to even if it's not on camera, we got to get him out to play stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Not that we won't put Richter on camera. It's just, even if it's not on camera, we need to hang out with Richter. Anyways, so the other half of the Kickstarter that I have a bit of a problem with the Stalker stuff is that it's the exact opposite of the Ultimate Game Master screen, where this is a company that's done this. It's the Wormwood of like they've done it multiple times. They don't need to go through Kickstarter. They don't need to do pre-orders. They don't need to do any of this shit. They just decided we're going to go through Kickstarter again. And that bugs me a little bit too. Mm-hmm. Especially when they do like the early bird pricing on Kickstarter, where it's like, I'm already if I'm backing your project on Kickstarter, I'm already an early bird. You don't need like this whole like back in the first 48 hours and we'll give you extra shit. It's like, no, fuck off. I'm already backing it like a year before it's out.
And it tells you how often this is done, because when I was scrolling through the Ultimate Game Master screen page, I'm like, everything here says early bird on it. And then I'm like, why is that? Where's the regular price? And then I actually read the thing and I'm like, oh, they're saying early bird because it's the Kickstarter prices, because they're going to go up when they're off of Kickstarter.
Right, which is what Kickstarter is meant for. And in fairness, Stalker says on their Kickstarter page that they expect it to cost more at retail. So in theory, they're still giving it. But I'm like, I'm backing your project a full year before it comes out. I'm a fucking early bird. You don't need to like nickel and dime me about what day I backed your Kickstarter.
Yeah, like
you're still an egg.
Yeah, like come on.
Like I watched your video. You sold me on your pitch. I'm down to play this fucking game. Here's my however much money it's going to cost.
Yeah, here's your interest-free loan for the next year.
Yeah, exactly.
That actually bugs the shit out of me with Kickstarters is like the first day pricing. I'm like, come on. You know a company is using Kickstarter too much when they start doing that shit. It's like, come on.
There's even some that like this is the first Kickstarter and they're still doing stuff.
Well, I think it's because they think that's the right thing to do because it's the pattern.
Yeah.
Which is just so unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because
it's like the need for day one fulfillment, or not fulfillment, but to reach your goal.
Yeah.
Goal funding. Yeah.
Well, and so in fairness, there is a bit of a psychology there, or not even psychology, but like Kickstarter, if you reach your funding goal in the first 24 hours, maybe 48, Kickstarter will sort of promote within Kickstarter, it'll sort of promote your stuff. The reality is I don't know that many people that just go and browse Kickstarter on a regular basis.
No.
I know when I look at Kickstarter, which I do sometimes, I just go to the ending soon or the new. Like that I never browse Kickstarter. I always just like what's ending soon? What's my last chance to back some stuff? Oh, this looks cool. Okay, I'll hop in. And then inevitably, if they're like, oh, well, if you had backed it in the first day, you would have gotten an even cheaper price. I'm like, well, then fuck you. Like,
yeah,
you're already asking me to pre-fund your project. You don't need to be a dick about it. Anyways, yeah. But mostly my problem is just too damn many mega systems. And I'm not saying people should stop making them. I'm being crotchety. Let me know if anyone
You're the Chad of this episode.
That's right. I'm actually curious how other people deal with this, or if other people just kind of like, fuck it, I just played like 2 and that's what I get to. Yeah. But I'm curious if anybody in the comments or otherwise has like a solution to this. Because I would love to play all of them, but I'm like, I don't have $2,000 to just blow on systems that I never get to properly play.
That was one of the good things I liked about when we were at Origins last year is if there was a game that we wanted to try, we could just go to the game library, pull it out, and give it a go.
And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe we need to be going to more conferences, although those in and of themselves cost a bunch of money too. So,
yeah,
I mean... Because the other thing is you can see these games you can do the demos at conferences. So even games that aren't in the library, you can potentially get a demo of. So maybe that's part of the solution.
Yeah.
But then again, we're in Canada, which means that going to a conference in the US is minimum. Like if all 3 of us go, we're probably laying out $3,000 to go to a conference. Yeah. Might as well just buy the games at that point.
Right? It's cheaper for us to buy the games and play them, so fuck it.
Right? Yeah. It's a weird one. Let me know. I'm legitimately curious what people think about this, because it's something that as a gamer, I'm like, how do people deal with this other than just spread the cost around among as many friends as possible, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, because we bought Wonder Book.
Yep.
Which great game. Like
great game.
We had such a blast playing that.
Yeah, we'll play it again.
Yeah, we did the whole thing on New Year's, so we lent it to our friends Sam and Becca.
Yeah.
I don't know if they played it. If you have played it, please let us know.
And if you're not watching to answer the question, Sam, Becca, why not?
Shame.
Yeah. Kickstarters. It's like so few and far between that I'll actually look at a Kickstarter. The Ultimate Game Screen, I can't remember how it caught my attention.
Well, it was probably advertised in Canada.
I think so, yeah. I think I seen something on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
Or no, it was Twitter. And I clicked it, and then when I seen that it was Realmsmith and Forged, I was like, oh, interesting. Yeah, we know them. And it looked, again, I would probably buy that 100%, but then I was like, all right, well, seeing as I'm on Kickstarter, let's scroll some stuff. The only thing that really caught my eye, and like this isn't much, but these Celtic Animal Knot dice.
Yeah, those are cool looking.
that actually look really, really freaking cool.
All right. I take back everything I said about board games, because if there is something that
It's
there's
dice.
too goddamn many choices
Dice.
of,
Tons and tons
Dice?
of dice.
holy
And
shit.
3D printing files.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna. That's what my question was gonna be. How
Yeah.
many STL
Those
files
files,
did you
yeah.
buy?
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I mean, like the dice look,
Those look cool.
they look
Yeah.
really, really cool. Like the little dots are so small, but it's all part of the Nordic art that they're
Yeah.
using. And yeah, so I was like, oh, that's cool. You know,
Yeah,
but that was it. Like, and this is probably like the second time in a week that I've been on Kickstarter. But
I used to scroll it pretty. When we first started this, I was keeping up to date
Yeah.
with Kickstarter, and then I got tired of it because it's all just fucking STL files.
yeah. I'm actually upset that I missed because Sabotage Studios, the developers of The Messenger, they kickstarted their next game, Sea of Stars. It's obviously successfully funded, but I'm kicking myself in the ass for not knowing that.
Oh yeah.
Like I missed it, but I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, you would have backed that.
I would have backed the hell out of that, like
Yeah.
easily.
I should be getting the key to the beta for that RPG system thing that I backed.
Which one was that?
I can't remember the name of it, but it's one of the online focused RPG games where it's like the video conferencing and everything is built into it.
I don't remember this.
Let me bring it up.
Interesting.
I backed it a little while ago, and oh god, what's my sign in for Kickstarter?
I know, I was just having the same issue.
Why am I even logged out? That's nonsense. Let me see if Safari's logged in. Anyways, we're professional. If we say it enough, it's true.
Yep. That's how it works.
We're legit.
Yeah.
We're legit because we
So
don't think of shit ahead of time.
So, anyways, it's one of these. It's one of these new systems that people are coming out with. There's a bunch of them. Again, choice issues. It's called Fablecraft. That's what it's called, and it's a digital TTRPG. And it's not like it is. You can probably play it with other systems, but it is. They've created a new system of their own as well. So it's coming with a couple of modules. I was going to give it a shot because I'm curious how it works in terms of remote play, because I'd love to do some remote play both with friends that are out of the area. I've got a setup mostly fixed up so that we can actually do live streamed or recorded sessions involving other people as well that are remote. But I also just want to be able to play.
Yeah, we've been getting that itch.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious about trying this, and I'd love it if this like tied into streaming in some meaningful way. I suspect it won't, but yeah, I'm really going above and beyond on the setup. Did I ever talk about the setup that I'm working on for this?
I
No.
don't believe so. No.
All right. Well, I won't go into super detail because I could talk for like 2 hours about it.
And
But
cut.
fade to black. I'm gonna have so the TV stands, the rolling TV stands. I'm gonna bring them in so that they take the place of the players. So like you would be a TV instead of you. And then
Call me Samsung.
and then so the TV, the people will be dialed in through the vMix call stuff. And then it will be routed back out over NDI and picked up by one of the mini PCs that I've got to display on the TV. So everything will be routed through vMix. So there will be no delay on the stream. There will be no delay on anything. And then it'll be routed back out to the TVs, and it'll be, they're big TVs. So it'll be like Chad is sitting at the table and he's pretty much life-sized. And I mean, presumably you'll be here, but other people will be remote. And
I'm
so
a
we
TV.
can, that's right. And we'll be able to like do
Glasses are thick enough. God.
we'll be able to do like split screen so we can have two on a TV. But I figure with two TVs, we'll be able to do like a decent setup with a bunch of people, and they can all dial in through vMix. So we'll be able to record everything. It should be great. And vMix has very low latency on its video conferencing stuff. So hopefully the conversation, we won't be like stepping on each other's toes too much and everything. I'm excited to give it a full dress rehearsal. I think I'm pretty close, probably another week or two before we can do a full dress rehearsal on that.
Hell yeah. By the way, vMix greater than OBS.
Yeah. Anyone who wants to do any recording or live streaming stuff, and doesn't mind shelling out a bit of cash either monthly or for the single time purchase, vMix is what we use.
So much better.
It is a billion times better than OBS.
Yeah,
it requires way less resources. It actually works. You can do multi-cording.
Even like I remember the transition from when we were using OBS before, and you got vMix, and we switched to that, and just ease of use.
Oh my god!
Like holy shit!
Takes minutes to set stuff up.
The CPU usage. So I know there's a lot of streamers that do a one PC setup and you use OBS, and OBS is a CPU fucking hog
and GPU
and a GPU. Like it is a hog.
Yeah.
Right. vMix uses like fucking hardly anything.
Yeah, well, just to put an example out there for anyone who's done streaming and has some clue what we're talking about, I can run. This
isn't sponsored, by the way.
No, although
it would
vMix,
be nice
if you want to sponsor us, please. It's not cheap. So I can run 4 4K 60 inputs and 4 4K or 4 1080 60 inputs on the same machine, and no frame drops whatsoever. And I'm not talking about having them available. I mean on the screen at the same time. I can do 8 cameras, 4 of which are 4K 60.
Yep.
0 frame drops.
Yep.
OBS struggles with 2.
Yeah.
And I can multi-cord all 8, by the way, which means I can independently record all 8 of those outputs.
Mm-hmm.
And NDI output the source over the network at the same time.
Yep.
All of which I can do without frame drop.
And even like the layers, like adding the layers, the overlays, everything, like adding.
This sounds like a
things.
fucking commercial, but it's if you are into any of this, if you're into streaming or anything else, the cheapest version does not do everything I'm talking about, but even it is a vast step up from OBS.
Yeah, just the basic lifetime license is $60 US.
Yeah. Which does already more, like I would say that is already better than OBS.
Yeah.
I do the full the monthly full shebang. It's not cheap.
50 US a month.
Yeah, 50 US a month. But for what we do, like, cause if anyone's curious, what we do is we've got 3 inputs into. So we're recording each of these cameras. They're going into vMix, and they're all multi-corded.
I was going to say you should do like just a separate video. Like
I'm going
something
to
of like just showing how we run things here.
I'm going to do a studio tour. I was waiting until I get the D&D setup going, because I think that'll give it some meat and really kind of express how like interesting you can do stuff without limited investment. I mean, I've invested a fair bit, but
we could script it so that I can come through the curtain like with a house coat in my jammies, a cup of coffee, and my like bed hat. You know.
The other thing, actually, I don't think anyone who watches knows. There's a full RGB setup in the ceiling as well.
Mm-hmm.
That I've never used.
We should use that in our 1 year.
Oh yeah,
when we do the spicy, when we do the hot wings, we'll set up some like heartbeats or something with RGB. Yeah, I've got a full DJ quality. What's it called? Why can't I think of
I don't know
the technology? Yeah, you don't know. I don't know why I looked at you.
I don't know.
Anyways, it's fully computer controlled. I've got a full RGB setup. So yeah, I am going to do a video on the studio soon. But I wanted to wait until I got the D&D stuff working, because then I think it'll increase the wow factor, I think, just of like how much you can do with fairly simple stuff. Mm-hmm. So, but that will be coming. We're pretty close to time here.
Yeah.
Was there I feel like there was one other thing on our list that we were going to chat about.
No, I think it was just those 3 main things.
Okay, cool. We were going to talk about Madara a little bit, which we kind of touched on that.
Yeah.
So Madara is like Gloomhaven ++. I think we mentioned that much of it on last week's podcast. We finally dug into it. We did the first encounter. Chad kind of talked about that. We fucked it up royally, so we're going to be doing it again. We're actually, I think Sarah's point was good. I think we'll do one of the random encounters. We'll just make something up.
Yeah, because the game itself has a huge book of the campaign, but then it also has a much, much smaller book of just encounters. So if you just want to do like dungeon crawling encounters,
there's also like third party people have like made their own encounters, so we could also grab one of those just randomly and do that, so that we don't spoil anything anywhere. We're probably going to do one more just to get the rules. There's like 6 hours of videos on the rules. It's chunky to learn, but I think I now know how to play the game.
I'll watch the videos again too and get those figured out.
And then once we do that and we're actually ready to restart, because we will redo the first encounter. We screwed up so many rules that we really should redo it. When we go back and redo it, I think we are planning to film it, and we'll see what happens with that footage. We will release some of it somewhere. I may just like decide to just put up like an uncut version of it on the Discord, because we have the like unlisted videos channel on Discord. For all I know, I'll just dump it there. But I would love to like cut it up and make it into a real video. But I feel like it's going to be a lot of editing work to do that. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Yep. So yeah, that was fun. We'll let you trust. You'll hear about it. Like if we film this shit, like you're either gonna see it or you're gonna hear about seeing it eventually, and then maybe you'll see it, maybe you won't.
Yeah, you'll probably hear us talking about us playing through it, and then like a month later, you'll actually get the video of us playing through it. Yeah. But it's a chunky one. It'll be ongoing for like a year probably, because it's 100 hours of playtime. So even if we do it once a week, we're still talking not a year, but 2/3 of it.
Yeah, because the video itself, the first one of the first things that they said, it's like a 6-month commitment.
Yeah.
And we were all like, oh my God.
Yeah, 6-month commitment, assuming you play it every week.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably on the low side.
Yeah.
So, but cool. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It just started out as a real slog because we had to check the rules constantly. But by the end of it, I think we were all getting into it. I think we were all enjoying it.
Yeah.
You looked like you were about to say something. Were you just going to take us out?
Yeah, but I was going to kind of touch about something that's a little bit serious. Okay. Just we lost a friend this past week. Mm-hmm. Good man, far too young. He's established dominance in our Discord. Yeah. Our friend Chris Massey passed away this past week. So we just want to send our condolences to the family and just remind everybody that life is really too short. And just treasure and value the people you have in your life every day. And because in a moment, it could be gone.
And play more games.
Yeah, play lots of games with them.
Play all the games.
Yep.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, we will miss Massey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rest well, man.
Yeah.
He was a great member of our community, and even just on a personal level, a wonderful friend and acquaintance.
I will miss our lunches.
Yep.
So, So, anyways, on that cheery note, we will say goodbye. Thank you so much for hanging out. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're this far into the video, subscribe if you haven't.
Yeah.
Drop a like and definitely drop some comments. We're gonna do a new thing. I haven't told you two about this.
Oh no!
As soon as we're done filming, what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up last week's video and we're gonna reply to any comments.
Oh, okay.
We're going to start doing that so that we actually reply to the damn comments.
I mean, we reply to some of them. But
we're
not
the
great
best
at them. No.
So we're going to start replying to comments starting in about 10 minutes.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Love you guys. Bye.